Today we are taking notes on Objective 2. We are still in the same power focus area, proportionality and percents, so we do not have to put a title. We're just going to continue our notes with Objective 2, which says using proportions to calculate with percents. So remember, the first thing that we need to do is take that objective and rewrite it as a question. So I'm going to say, how do I use proportions to calculate percent? It's super easy to do, okay? For every question that we use for this objective, we are using our percent proportion, which is part over whole equals percent over 100. Every question we use today, we are setting this up every single time. Some questions, when you're trying to identify the part and the whole, we look for keywords is and of, and that will make more sense in just a second. But that is our percent proportion that we're going to use for every question today. So the first example that we're going to start with is 18% of 150 is what number? Okay, so to start this off, every time you need to just set up your proportion outline. You can go ahead and fill in 100 because he's going to be there in every question every time. And then we can start going through our little sentence and figuring out what pieces of our proportion we have and fill it in the correct spot. For me, what I like to do first is see if we are given a percent. And if you look here, we have a percent sign stuck to that 18. So that means we have 18%. And according to our percent proportion, the percent always goes over 100. So 18 is going to go on top of 100. Okay, and now we've got to put that 150 and decide whether it's the part or the whole. Well, if you look very carefully, we have the word of here, and it's directly in front of that 150. So of is going to be our whole, or the denominator, for this proportion. So that 150 goes on the bottom. And then this is what number? We don't know what that number is yet. So we're going to put X where the is part is, because that's going to be what we're solving for. Now, to solve proportions, we cross multiply. So 100 times X, we just stick those two together for 100X. Then we multiply 150 times 18. So 150 times 18. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 makes 12. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. We put that together, and we get 2,700. Okay, now our goal is to get X all by itself. Okay, so right now X is stuck to 100, so I've got to get rid of that 100. So the opposite of multiplying by 100 is dividing by 100. And whatever I do to one side of my equal sign, I have to do to the other side of my equal sign. It has to stay balanced. So on the left side, those cancel, leaving me with X. And then over here, we have 2,700 divided by 100. we can eliminate a 0 from the top and the bottom. And then we can also do it again. So we are left with 27 divided by 1, which is just 27. Okay, we're going to do another example. 75 is what percent of 250? So again, we're going to set up our proportion. I'm going to go ahead and put that 100 there. Okay, so again, I always start off by asking myself, do I have a number that has a percent sign attached to it? And in this case, I don't. So that means x is going to go over 100 because I do not know what the percent is. That's what we're trying to find. So now we've got to figure out where 75 and 250 are supposed to go in our proportion. So we start looking for our keywords. Well, here I have is, and he is talking about 75. And over here we have of, and he is talking about 250. So is over of means I'm going to have 75 over 250. And from here, we start the process again. We cross multiply. So we're going to have 250 times x is going to be 250x. You just stick them together. Cross multiply this way. 100 times 75 is going to be 7,500. The goal is to get x by itself. This time he's stuck to 250. So we're going to divide by 250 on both sides. These will cancel. Over here on the right side, I have 7,500 divided by 250. We can make that a little nicer, and I can lose a 0 from the top and the bottom. And that's as far as I can go. So from there, we're going to actually have to divide. Top in, bottom out. 750 divided by 25. 25 will not go into 7, but 25 will go into 75. If you think about quarters, it takes 3 quarters to make 75 cents. So 3 times 25 is 75. Subtract, we have nothing left over, but we're not done dividing. We still have a 0 to bring down. 25 will not go into 0, and we're done. So for this problem, x is equal to 30%. Remember, our x was over here on top of 100, so that means we were solving for the percent, so we want to make sure to attach a percent sign in our final answer. Okay, and then we're going to do one more example. %5 of what number is 50? 5% of what number is 50? So again, I'm going to set up my outline and fill in 100. Okay, and then I start looking through to see if we have a percent anywhere, and we do, right there. Okay, so that 5 is going to go over 100. And then we've got to decide where that 50 goes. So if we look very carefully, the word is right in front of the 50. So that tells me that 50 is going to be our numerator. And then of what number, we don't know. So of is missing. That's going to be our x. And then we start to cross multiply. 5 times x is 5x. 100 times 50 is 5,000. We have to get x alone, so we've got to divide by 5. 5,000 divided by 5 is 1,000. One thing I want to point out to you, in the 3 examples that we did, okay, the first number we filled in every time is 100. That 100 is not going anywhere ever, okay? But notice with the first example, we had x was our numerator. In our second example, x was our percent. And in our third example, x was our denominator in that of spot. Okay, so 100 is going to be there every time no matter what, but x can be in any of the other 3 spaces. So it's very important that you make sure you're putting things where they go. Percent goes over 100, and then you look for those keywords is and of to fill in the other 2 spaces. Even though x was in a different spot every time, we still solved it the same way. Cross multiply and then divide. So there is your notes on objective 2.